Most people hear the word millionaire and instantly imagine private jets, luxury watches, and giant mansions sitting on hills. Social media has trained people to believe millionaires live like celebrities every single day. But the real data tells a completely different story. The average American household net worth officially crossed over $1 million according to Federal Reserve data. Hearing that statistic sounds shocking because most people do not feel wealthy at all. That confusion creates one of the biggest misunderstandings in personal finance. Broke Ben hears this statistic and assumes everyone around him is secretly rich except him. He starts feeling behind in life because social media already made him insecure. Instead of learning the numbers, he compares himself emotionally. Budget Ben immediately asks a smarter question. He wants to know the difference between average and median because those numbers tell completely different stories. He understands statistics can easily distort reality. Baller Ben already knows the game. He understands extreme wealth at the top massively inflates averages, while ordinary people experience something very different. He focuses on what typical households actually look like instead of flashy headlines. The median household net worth in America sits around $192,700 instead of $1 million. That number better represents the middle household in the country. Suddenly, the entire situation looks much more realistic. The top 10% of households control roughly two-thirds of all wealth in America. That concentration pulls the average far above what normal families experience day to day. The math creates an illusion that tricks millions of people. Broke Ben sees influencers online claiming anyone can become a millionaire quickly with the right side hustle or course. He believes wealth is supposed to happen fast because the internet constantly sells urgency. Patience feels boring to him. Budget Ben understands many influencers intentionally misuse statistics to sound inspiring. Saying the average household is worth over $1 million sounds exciting, even if it lacks context. He knows financial literacy starts with understanding the full picture. Baller Ben recognizes something deeper. Most people are not failing because they lack intelligence. They fail because they misunderstand what wealth actually looks like in real life. Millionaire status simply means total assets minus total liabilities equals over $1 million. It includes home equity, retirement accounts, businesses, and investments after subtracting debts. That definition surprises people who only think about cash. A family living in a paid-off home with large retirement accounts may technically be millionaires without feeling rich at all. Much of their wealth may be tied up inside long-term assets. Net worth and spendable cash are not the same thing. Broke Ben thinks millionaires should always be driving exotic cars and spending aggressively. If someone looks normal, he assumes they cannot actually be wealthy. He judges finances entirely through appearances. Budget Ben understands accessible cash flow matters more than appearances. Someone with strong investments and low expenses may quietly live far better than someone flexing expensive purchases online. Stability matters more than image. Baller Ben thinks even further ahead. He cares less about looking wealthy and more about building assets that continue generating income over time. Freedom becomes more important than status. Around 18% of American households technically qualify as millionaires today. That sounds surprisingly high compared to what people expect. But most of those households built wealth slowly over decades. The average millionaire household head is over 60 years old. That single statistic destroys the fantasy of overnight success promoted online. Real wealth usually takes patience. Broke Ben hates hearing this. Waiting decades sounds unbearable because he wants results immediately. He constantly searches for shortcuts instead of systems. Ben understands that long timelines are actually encouraging. If wealth is mostly about consistency over time, then ordinary people still have a real chance. Discipline becomes more important than luck. Baller Ben realizes compounding changes everything. Early years feel slow, but later years accelerate dramatically because the portfolio itself starts producing massive growth. Time becomes the ultimate multiplier. The first major millionaire habit is consistent saving. That sounds simple, but most Americans struggle heavily with it. Many people save almost nothing despite earning decent incomes. The average American saves only a few cents of every disposable dollar earned. Millions of adults also have no emergency savings whatsoever. One unexpected expense can completely destabilize their finances. Broke Ben spends first and saves whatever happens to remain afterward. Unfortunately, nothing ever remains because lifestyle inflation consumes every dollar. He mistakes income increases for financial progress. Budget Ben flips the order completely. He saves automatically before spending money on entertainment or upgrades. Saving becomes structural instead of emotional. Baller Ben treats saving as a permanent operating system for life. He understands wealth building starts with controlling cash flow long before investing becomes powerful. Consistency matters more than intensity. Studies of millionaires consistently show long-term investing was the number one contributor to their wealth. Surprisingly, most were never extremely high earners. Their habits mattered more than flashy salaries. Only a minority of millionaires ever earned six-figure incomes during their careers. That fact shocks people because society constantly associates wealth with massive salaries. The real difference is behavior. Broke Ben assumes rich people simply got lucky with careers or family money. Believing that excuse protects him from examining his own habits. Blaming external factors feels easier than changing behavior. Budget Ben understands small savings repeated for decades become enormous. He realizes consistency compounds emotionally and financially over time. Tiny disciplined actions eventually separate people dramatically. Baller Ben knows the real battle happens at the identity level. Wealthy people usually stop viewing saving as sacrifice and start viewing it as ownership of their future. That mindset shift changes everything. The second millionaire habit is investing instead of endlessly holding cash. Inflation quietly destroys purchasing power over time. Money sitting still slowly loses strength every year. Even though stock ownership increased recently, huge numbers of households still own no investments whatsoever. Many people are terrified of investing because they misunderstand risk. Doing nothing feels safer emotionally. Broke Ben leaves money sitting in checking accounts while constantly buying depreciating stuff. He fears investing because short-term market drops scare him. Yet he ignores the guaranteed loss caused by inflation. Budget Ben understands broad investing is not gambling when done patiently. He regularly contributes to retirement accounts regardless of headlines or market fear. He trusts the long-term process. Baller Ben understands participation matters more than prediction. Most millionaires did not become rich through stock-picking genius. They simply stayed invested consistently through decades of market cycles. Over long periods, the stock market historically compounded far faster than inflation. That difference completely changes financial outcomes over 30 years. Investing transforms time into growth. Compounding feels invisible in the beginning. Early progress looks painfully slow, which causes many people to quit too early. The hardest stage is often staying patient before momentum appears. Broke Ben constantly jumps between trends, crypto hype, and emotional decisions. He wants excitement instead of consistency. His financial strategy changes every few months. Budget Ben ignores most financial noise online. He understands boring systems usually outperform emotional reactions. Simplicity helps him stay consistent. Baller Ben sees investing as ownership rather than speculation. He focuses on acquiring productive assets that generate long-term value over time. Patience becomes a competitive advantage. The third millionaire habit involves aggressively using tax-advantaged accounts. Most people completely underestimate how powerful taxes become over decades. Small percentages create enormous long-term differences. Only a small percentage of eligible workers maximize retirement account contributions each year. That means massive tax advantages go unused by millions of people. Opportunity quietly gets wasted. Broke Ben ignores retirement accounts because retirement feels too far away. He chooses immediate lifestyle upgrades instead of future financial security. Present comfort always wins. Budget Ben contributes consistently to retirement accounts because automation removes temptation. Money invested automatically never competes against impulsive spending decisions. Systems reduce emotional mistakes. Baller Ben views retirement accounts as financial infrastructure. He knows tax-free or tax-deferred growth dramatically increases terminal wealth over long periods. He respects compounding at every level. The fourth millionaire habit is controlling housing costs carefully. This directly contradicts the social pressure to constantly upgrade lifestyles. Bigger houses often create smaller futures. Many financially stressed households spend enormous portions of income on housing. That leaves little room for investing, saving, or emergencies. Expensive lifestyles quietly trap people. Broke Ben upgrades apartments and cars every time his income rises slightly. He wants visible proof of success immediately. Unfortunately, those upgrades consume his financial flexibility. Budget Ben buys housing he can comfortably afford and stays there longer. He values stability more than impressing people. Lower fixed expenses create breathing room. Baller Ben understands wealthy households usually keep most net worth outside their primary homes. Investable assets generate future income while oversized lifestyles drain it. Wealth grows quietly before it becomes visible. Millionaires often buy homes later than expected and upgrade slower than social media suggests. Many stay in the same house for years while building investments aggressively. Delayed gratification becomes normal. The fifth millionaire habit is simply staying invested long enough for compounding to work fully. This is where most people fail emotionally. They quit before the math becomes powerful. Research shows the average millionaire took nearly 3 decades to reach that milestone. That timeline sounds slow until you realize how ordinary the process actually is. Wealth often looks boring while it is being built. Broke Ben constantly restarts financially because he chases shortcuts. Every setback convinces him the system does not work. He confuses temporary discomfort with failure. Budget Ben understands progress is rarely dramatic year to year. He focuses on consistency instead of emotional excitement. Small gains repeated long enough eventually become life-changing. Baller Ben sees time itself as the greatest asset in finance. The longer money stays invested, the harder it works without additional effort. Patience eventually creates a leverage impossible to replicate quickly. Most millionaires did not inherit massive wealth. Most also worked completely normal careers like engineering, teaching, accounting, management, or law. Their success came from behavior repeated consistently over decades. The internet often makes wealth look mysterious, exclusive, or impossible without special connections. But the real data paints a far less glamorous picture. Millionaires are usually ordinary people with extraordinary consistency. Broke Ben keeps searching for hacks, shortcuts, and flashy wins. Budget Ben builds strong financial habits step by step. Baller Ben combines those habits with patience and long-term thinking until wealth compounds naturally. The truth is that becoming wealthy is usually not about brilliance or perfect timing. It is about surviving long enough for disciplined decisions to accumulate into something massive. Real millionaires are rarely the loudest people in the room, but they are often the most consistent. I hope you enjoyed learning about millionaire money habits through the eyes of 3 different versions of myself. Remember that you have the majority control over your emotions and decisions when it comes to your finances. Subscribe for more helpful money tips from the money faces of Ben.